always love an Ostez gift card.
You have been putting a lot of balls in the water.
Not after my custom fitting. I'm smashing everything.
You could do that with a monster truck.
Stop Ostez Golf for Father's Day.
The Ostez family would really appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Molly Party. I'm a realtor with MP Dodge Real Estate. I'm a newly licensed agent and considered numerous brokerages before deciding on MP Dodge. I chose the company that gives me the most support in my new career, plus guidance and encouragement along the way. MP Dodge has a unique mentoring program for new agents. It's helped jumpstart my career and has a supportive management team and administrative staff. So if you're contemplating a career in real estate, look no further than MP Dodge. It will be the best decision you make.
By now, most of you know how important the Honda of Lincoln sales and service team are to the Lincoln market. Hello, Charlie Stone here, and joining me is Andy Goodyear from Honda of Lincoln to tell you about the great news they just received. Andy, please tell us all about it.
Each year, the Lincoln Journal-Star has an award program called the Lincoln Choice Award, where the customers in Lincoln get to choose the best places to do business. Great pleasure, I get to announce that Honda of Lincoln has won the award for buying new cars, used cars, automotive repair, and even oil changes.
That is amazing, Andy. Any more good news?
Yes, there is, Charlie. We now have more than 100 new Hondas in stock, with hundreds on the way, and a huge selection of all makes and models on our pre-owned lot.
Incredible. Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
The 31st Annual Testicle Festival, Saturday, June 15th at Round the Bend Steakhouse, just off I-80, exit 426. Swing out 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. for music, fireworks, and, of course, nuts. Visit roundthebendsteakhouse.com for more.
Load up on meat and more this summer at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Haviland. This week's special through June 11th is buy 3 ribeyes, get 1 ribeye free. Also, $1 off all brands of crackers. Locations at 84th and Havelock and 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town. For over 15 years, Integrated Life Choices has empowered individuals with disabilities in Lincoln and throughout Nebraska. They provide comprehensive services from group homes and independent living services to job training, ensuring fulfilling lives for those that they serve. Now, they're inviting you to join their mission. If you're passionate about making a difference in the lives of people with developmental disabilities, explore rewarding career opportunities with them. Learn more about their services and apply today at www.ilc.net. Be a part of Integrated Life Choices, where your work truly changes lives. You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
Keep summer green with Judson Baleen and Judson Irrigation. More than 40 years ago, Judson Irrigation started taking in orphans. Lawn sprinkler systems installed by a quickie, cheapy summer job, install 'em and forget 'em outfit long forgotten. Call Judson Irrigation. They'll never forget you.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Constructors is now hiring for all positions, with laborers starting at $23 and up based on experience. Constructors has immediate job openings for laborers, mechanics, bridge builders, operators, and drivers. Start your new career today. Constructors offers great pay, health, dental, and vision insurance, paid time off, paid holidays, and so much more. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. For a complete list of openings and to apply online, visit constructorslincoln.com.
Network Partners in Lincoln reminds us throughout the history of our country, our armed forces have risked their lives to protect our freedom. They and their families have sacrificed so we can live in peace, and not just us, but our children and grandchildren as well. Let's thank our troops and veterans and keep them in our prayers. May our troops be safe and may God bless America. This from Network Partners in Lincoln. We live in the land of the free, thanks to the brave.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is the Don't Punt Hour with former Nebraska receiver.
Throwing over the middle, completes the pass. He's got speed to the end zone. Touchdown! 45 yards.
And return specialist.
This time he beats the kicker and one more.
Demorne Pierson-El.
Not only does the sideline have confidence in Pierson-El, but Pierson-El has confidence in Pierson-El.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in to Ticket Weeknights. Once again, Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. As always, come 6 o'clock, we got the host, Demorne Pierson-El, the former Husker wide receiver, special teams threat, streaming in. And if you guys ever want to join the show, Starter Human Text line still open to you guys, 402-464-5685. And a good way to put a face to the voice, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and as always, Allo Channel 961. Without further ado, let's bring him in. Demorne Pierson-El, how's it going on this Wednesday night?
It's going well, nice and slow.
Yeah, definitely cool down. Not in the absolute heat. Got a nice little cool wave, cool everybody down. I'm sure at the College World Series, the Sunbirds were coming out in full force today. Get a little bit of a break. But let's go ahead and start there. College World Series, we saw Tennessee quite just dominate, continue to dominate. Tennessee dominated Florida State. Well, I shouldn't say dominate. First game close. They beat Florida State 12-11. Then they run it on North Carolina 6-1. They meet up with Florida State again. And wasn't even close today. They beat them 7-2. And the next game that we have going on right now, after we played it this morning, Kentucky and Florida had to make up for that one.
My goodness.
Something about
Nebraska. My goodness. What is up with Florida? What is up with Florida? I don't know if it's something in the water. I don't know if they got Mike's secret stuff. I don't know if they got Popeye's spinach. Or angel or something looking over them, but they absolutely destroyed Kentucky.
15-4.
Oh, it was man. I think I checked in. It was like I want to say it may have been like 11-3 or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, it's over. I didn't even. I turned quick. I was like, I'll check back in on them later. But
I was pretty disappointed. That was one of the few games I had the chance that matched up with my hours. It's like, let me kick back and watch this one.
No.
It was like finished way earlier than but by the time I knew it, I looked up from my phone and I'm like, I think it's done. I think Florida's out here. I mean, we kind of saw that when Florida was playing Nebraska, and I wasn't sure. I was like, is this just what it looks like when we get to the SEC, ACC, when you get to that next tier, whichever conference you want to say is better, fine. Probably argue SEC. You look at Florida's record in there, but you noticed that the pitches we were throwing at in Florida was having a heyday. I mean, they were hitting just about everything we threw at them out of the park. And then you're maybe thinking Nebraska's just not quite ready. And then they do it to Kentucky in an even uglier fashion, 15-4 finish. They're playing right now. They're already down in the first inning at the top of the first. Texas A&M looks like they got one run on them already. But Florida, the way the bats are swinging right now, who do you got? Texas A&M and Florida before we get too far into it, top of the first.
Hopefully, Florida pulls it out. I would not like to see A&M for for what reasons. I'm not going to particularly say. But yeah, hopefully Florida pulls it out. I think they're just on a hot streak, and I mean they caught fire at the right time, and it's just a hot knife going through butter. Anybody that they typically come up with, it doesn't matter who it is, so they're rolling right now.
This is the best part of the College World Series too, and we see it happen every year. There's that one team, because I think when this thing first started, you heard that conversation a lot. Is Florida the worst team in these regionals, super regionals? Is Florida the odd one out? And they're just killing everybody in their path right now. I mean, it's an ultimate path of destruction. After the hiccup they had early on where they lost to Texas A&M, who, by all means, Texas A&M, a great team. They're also able to shut down Kentucky 5-1. But yeah, I'm not putting any money against Florida. I mean, that's a team that's playing hot right now. That seems to be what matters most. When you get to Omaha, which team is hot at this very moment? Those are the ones that usually stick it out, make it all the way through. But I called my money on Tennessee when this thing first started. I wouldn't be surprised if it really might be Florida, just the way they're playing right now.
I mean, I agree right there with you. I mean, if those two collide, it's the last bat standing is what it might come to.
With that being said, since now that we've gotten to see Florida and just really the bats have been the most impressive thing, but you look at that at Nebraska, what does Nebraska need to do to get to that next level? Is it the pitching? Is it the batting? Where does Nebraska need to start in terms of recruiting if we're going to get to that level where you can be one of those super regional teams and be pretty confident?
I think it definitely starts off with pitching. So that you have to take care of that. You have to have, a strong bullpen. You have to have, a strong, starter out there to kind of get things out the way and clean things up and get people up out of there. So I definitely think you start there and then you sprinkle in, a couple positions that, that you would need to take you over top, or you would need to kind of get you over that hump. Now, what positions might that be? It just kind of depends because, again, we got a strong team coming back next year. So, again, like I said, I wouldn't hit the panic button. There's a few pieces that are missing or that you would, want to get stronger. But outside of those, I mean, you didn't lose as much as, the rest of the conference. You could be like, I think you mentioned a couple weeks ago, Penn State had like 8 people transferring. Like,
yeah, Penn State, who was runner-up.
So I mean, you could be in that situation, which we're not. So I think they definitely hit the transfer portal or pick up the JUCO person, depending or one of those two things. Or I mean, if you got somebody young coming in that you like and whatnot, that you feel like that can handle the load or whatnot, or what things may be. The season just ended, so it's not. We got a little bit of time to kind of like look and gauge things and whatnot. But I can tell you, I'm not nervous or afraid, with this coaching staff because they have been consistent and each year, have moved the ladder and moved the beacon further down the road. So I'm not concerned at all.
Yeah, I'm definitely the part where you got a lot of talent coming back, that we aren't a Penn State. And I'll be honest, thank goodness we won the damn thing. I just think that's the cost of the territory. If you're going to be in the Big Ten and, a big reason, it's funny because Penn State made it to the conference championship game, but they were pretty abysmal for the most part. I mean, it was not a great regular season for Penn State. Hence, there's more to it than just those guys last minute saying, I want out. There's a lot of things before they got to that Big Ten tournament play that was probably in the heads. But yeah, with Nebraska, you got a bunch of guys coming back. I think you got to start with the pitching. Obviously, you wonder if McConaughey could put a few more in his bag, get a little more heat. But he's got an interesting, quite a few pitches he can throw at you. But that's what it felt like with Florida. I mean, we started walking guys. I was pretty surprised by Sears struggling the way he was. And it just felt like that took the momentum out of us. Like, he was great, but, you're just going to have those games where you might need to go look for another pitcher in your bullpen when things just aren't clicking. And unfortunately for Nebraska, it was almost like 2 days in a row where things really weren't going great from a pitching standpoint, able to save ourselves through some good batting. But then you get to Florida, and if you're not pitching the ball well against Florida,
you can see what happens.
Yeah, that's how you get 15 runs. You're not taking care of those pitches. You're getting them walks. You're getting them people loaded on base before they even got an out. That's how you get to 15 runs. So I think you start with the pitching. The hitting for Nebraska, it was kind of ebb and flow. It looked really good at times, and then you'd have other games where, I mean, you'd just be amazed to see just a couple of runs crossing your fingers and hoping the pitching was good enough to hold up. But if you are Nebraska, you're in a good spot. You didn't have a ton of guys leaving. You're still sitting in the Big Ten. Now, if you're scheduling for Nebraska baseball, would you want to try to get some of those SECs, those tournament style games early in the season, later in the season? Like at what point would you try to get those in? Because that's, if you want to be recognized, you can't just be playing Big Ten teams all season long.
I would definitely sprinkle, a few of those in. Like I said, you kind of get, the guys that were on this team this year, they kind of got that in the back of their mind. It's something okay, I remember this, or I remember this feeling, or this team or whatnot. You got a new team, so kind of exposing them kind of to where they can see it and adjust to it and kind of understand what things are. You get an early taste, kind of like what it is to go up, against some of those leader teams in those conferences, the ACC or SEC. That way, when it comes around to the tournament and everybody is playing or whatnot, it's not nothing new. It's not nothing that you gotta, well, yeah, that worked for them, but that's not really us. Like, no, you've seen something up front and close. So it's not just, okay, well, yeah, we can do this, we can do that. No, like, it was against you. So now you go back to the drawing board and you have a better game plan of maybe putting your best, chips out there to handle things differently instead of just getting washed while you're coming off of, one of your hot seasons, and then you throw in there, a terrible day of just, like you said, pitching. Pitching can make you or break you. And if you're kind of inconsistent, or if you play better as your pitching goes and everything like that, that might not be enough, to save you. So rather you get used to, or have your team get used to that a level of talent, playing that, seeing those pitches, throwing against those guys. And then, they go for the rest of their season. You can kind of watch film and then kind of critique, your battle strategy to go against them.
Yeah, I'd like to try to get that, maybe like some sort of tournament in early, like those first few games, like get it in early. Like that's what it looks like. Like those teams that are going to be the best, that are the favorites. This is what it looks like early in the season. Don't forget.
It wouldn't hurt you.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Like it's nothing against your conference. It's nothing against, your record as far as, your path to destroying the Big Ten. So, I mean, may it help? I mean, may it mess up your ranking, but it also could make your ranking, because if you do well and establish yourself and get something in early, now people are looking at you a little bit, differently. And remember, they did do this tournament, or they did play these teams and did well, X, Y, Z. So I feel like it's nothing but beneficial to kind of get in there and knock that out early.
Yeah, and like this year, they kind of did that. I believe it was Baylor. At the Vanderbilt was down there. 402-464-5685. You can help me out. But Nebraska, I thought that actually helped them a lot, because they went through that and they went on a run after. They played some really tough teams very early on. And then when they got to the Big Ten, outside of dropping some weird ones, I will say this: you can't lose to Omaha. You cannot lose to Creighton. And that's not me just being a diehard Cornhusker fan.
That's just it.
Take care of those. You have to take care of those games.
Got to. It's a little smear on your record. You can't lose. You can't afford to lose those, because then all the momentum that you build up, it's like, are they really, what we think they are, or is it, they just kind of hot right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's exactly what it felt like. I mean, we got to that point where I believe it was Creighton midway through, and it was like, okay, but what is this team? They just went through a sweep, then they lose to Creighton. And then I think they lost the next Big Ten series shortly after that. But you just can't have those hiccups. You got to try to stay as consistent as you can through it. And unfortunately, though they recovered, obviously they won the Big Ten, but those little hiccups in the middle of it, you can't have happen, especially if you want to schedule in those harder games. Those have to be layups.
You need those. So those are ones to boost your record, not hurt you.
Yeah. I mean, those losses, you can look at how far, when you get to quad 1, 2, and 3, those losses start to hurt a lot more. And if you're, losing to Oklahoma State, Tennessee, doesn't hurt you as much, especially if the game's close. It actually won't kill you when you get to those net rankings. A little bit of news here, more on Nebraska athletics as we're wrapping up this first segment. For the first time since 2020-21 season, St. Mary's men's basketball team we will be playing the Cornhuskers because they're heading to the Sanford Pentagon in Sioux Falls. First time they've been down there since the 2021 season. South Dakota to square off with the fellow 2024 NCAA tournament team, the Nebraska Cornhuskers, on the 17th. It'll be the men's and the women's, I believe, playing St. Mary's early on. I think that says a lot that St. Mary's is willing to do this, because I think it says they recognize Nebraska as a legitimate threat now, that this isn't just a tournament that you go in to go win a bunch of chalk games for nothing other than to get some runs in. This is going to be legit competition, and I'll be honest, I don't think St. Mary's wants to do this if Nebraska doesn't have the season they had last year. I really wouldn't think they consider it, but what are your thoughts on this, that we are going to have St. Mary's basketball, men and women's, head down there at the Sanford Pentagon? If you haven't been there, it's kind of out there in the middle of nowhere. It's unique. It definitely looks like the Pentagon out there, but I think it says a lot that they're going to come down there and play Nebraska basketball, and hopefully early season, we just said it with the baseball team, should help Nebraska get a little bit of edge in terms of where they're nationally ranked, and then a good quad one win if they drop it.
It's a step in the right direction. It's definitely better than not, because you never know, what these other teams can turn into in their own prospective leagues and everything like that. So, I mean, it's better to kind of have it and, kind of I don't want to say a tune-up, because I don't want to disrespect, that and everything like that. But to work out the kinks and the wrinkles and everything like that, and kind of establish and see what you have and make corrections from there.
Yeah, and what are your thoughts on Nebraska basketball? We haven't talked about it in a while, but we're seeing some of the recruits start to drop in here. We got the guy out of Turkey. I'm not saying his last name right now. I have to go through the pronunciation again. It's a whirlwind. I want to make sure I get his last name correct, because his highlights looks like a pretty damn good player. We also got Connor Segan out of Wisconsin. We're starting to see these guys fall in through the portal. How are you feeling about the men's Nebraska basketball roster? Have they covered up enough holes yet to give you confidence that this will be a step up next season?
I would say it's a step in the right direction. It's they're checking the box. I would still say, continue to go and get more depth, just because some of the pieces that we did lose were big pieces. But we do have a good core that is still there. Mm-hmm. So I'm not too worried, but the production and everything like that is going to have to come from somewhere. Commanding the floor, and somebody that the coaches can trust, to bring up the ball to court, not create turnovers, get things started, get everybody situated and get things going. I know they have a few dudes that they like and whatnot. We still have to see kind of what that is. And the kid coming from Wisconsin, he's from Lincoln, coming back home, so he should feel more comfortable. He was known as a scorer, a shooter. So like I said, they're on the right track, but I would still say, add more pieces and whatnot. Rather be safer than sorry. And then, in those tournaments and everything like that, you can kind of figure out and go from there.
Yeah, I'm very 50-50 on how I feel about this, because right now the departures, it feels like it adds just about to what we lost. We still lost Jamarcus Lawrence. We still lost CJ Wilcher. Diep, I think, surprised a lot of people. We lost the 5 that felt like we were kind of developing for a while there, trying to get him ready to play some serious, Power 5 basketball at that center position. I don't know if we've gotten enough back in yet. I'm going to be curious. Jamarcus Lawrence really hurts me the most still. He's one of those guys that I felt like was really the kind of cherry on top of this offense, especially when he got comfortable. You saw him in transition, what he was able to do, just pick up the ball and go. And he gave defenses a lot of fits last year, just on his ability to kind of move the ball up quickly up the court. Yeah, I'm not sure where I see this basketball roster, unfortunately. I think they can still have a very good season, but it's got to lean on defense. Like, this still has to be, in my mind, a defensive-led team, right?
I most definitely, especially, with the style and play of the Big Ten. You're going to have to be physical, big, inside, and rebounds. And, those are kind of some of the things that hurt us last year. So, as I said, they're moving in the right direction. I see, the things that the people that they did go after. It's not bad, like I said, it's a step in the right direction, but I would need to see more. I'm not saying it's a big splash name or, off the top like that. That's it. It's kind of a project. It's like, that should be able to work. And, we've seen, this coach put together different teams and everything like that over time, working on, project type players and everything like that. And we've seen, where it's got them. It's just a little bit differently now, just because those project players were your scorers or were, a lot of things that generated stuff, and you kind of got to replace those guys now. So it's in the right direction. I want to see it first before I say yes, like everything is covered.
Yeah, it's the Fred Hoiberg system. I want to trust in it because I'll be honest, like he does find a way to really polish that. And the defense, obviously, at times is really impressive. You still found a way to beat the number one team in the country at the time in Purdue.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you lost Casey Tominaga. Josiah Alec, for everything he wasn't offensively, hustle and defense, we're definitely going to be missing that. And the rebounds you talked about. So, and then Rink Mast, he's not coming back either. That one hurts. That was one of the big surprises that he was, while we got time for it, that'll be the last thing I ask, because I think that's the biggest hole. That playmaking ability, we're losing a lot of that with Rink Mast. How do you feel about us being able to move on from Rink Mast, be able to just fill that void, not only rebounding, but playmaking, kind of our double-double guy on the starting five?
It's a solid blow. But the two dudes that you do have coming back and you expect to take the next level, which they were at the end of the season, you expect, the offense to kind of those be your kind of cowbell guys and everything like that. It's no use to crying over spilled milk. It is what it is. He needed a surgery to get done and it hurts. But I think that they have, some pieces that are there that can kind of cover that, or a tandem of two guys really stepping up and showing up, that will be not as bad missed, and you can kind of cover your behind on it. It sucks, but I mean, at the end of the day, if he needed a procedure to, make sure that he was fine and situated, I mean, I respect it and I get that.
Yeah, and apparently that thing, I mean, it was, I believe that Kansas State game, we saw the calf wrap for the first time.
For him to, and he probably knew the whole season, that was coming and everything like that. And for him to still be, as productive as he was, I would like to see a fully healthy, fully healthy in the system, where, the offense might have been more catered, to him, where he might have been, that 2-3 role instead of trying to be that 4-5, which really wasn't, his thing.
Yeah, I think, it's obviously just kind of an interesting guy to watch, because we went from Derek Walker, who was kind of that playmaker role. And, let's give credit to Hoiberg too. Maybe we don't need to sweat so much, because we did go from Derek Walker to, I wonder if this Rink Mast guy is going to be able to do it. And Rink Mast was, more than better at. I mean, he was just as good as Derek Walker, just in different ways. But he still certainly filled that void. So maybe you give trust to Hoiberg that whoever he's picking, maybe one of the transfers coming in, take on some of that playmaking, scoring ability that Rink Mast had. Whether it's Derek Walker head down, barrel into the rim, or Rink Mast being able to pull it out a little bit. Nonetheless, Hoiberg's been pretty good at filling that position of a forward/center playmaker. So maybe we don't need to sweat too much, but definitely going to miss the Mastodon, because he was utterly fantastic at certain moments of the season last year. But we'll throw it to break here. Don't Punt Hour with De'Mornay Pierson-El. On the other side, we got to talk about coaches with more guaranteed money, but no job. You can take a wild guess who that is. It was a record-breaking contract at one point in time. In 1 year, he's already out the building. So we'll talk about that next on the Don't Punt Hour. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, kids, what are you getting your ever-loving dad for Father's Day?
I know. A motorized monster truck. How about the new Taylor Swift album? You would love it.
Yeah, I'm sure. How about something from Osted's Golf? Name brand apparel up to 50% off. Strixon balls at crazy deals. And Dad's always love an Osted's gift card.
You have been putting a lot of balls in the water.
Not after my custom fitting. I'm smashing everything.
You could do that with a monster truck.
Stop Osted's Golf for Father's Day.
The Osted family would really appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Molly Party. I'm a realtor with MP Dodge Real Estate. I'm a newly licensed agent and considered numerous brokerages before deciding on MP Dodge. I chose the company that gives me the most support in my new career, plus guidance and encouragement along the way. MP Dodge has a unique mentoring program for new agents. It's helped jumpstart my career and has a supportive management team and administrative staff. So if you're contemplating a career in real estate, look no further than MP Dodge. It will be the best decision you make.
By now, most of you know how important the Honda of Lincoln sales and service team are to the Lincoln market. Hello, Charlie Stone here, and joining me is Andy Goodyear from Honda of Lincoln to tell you about the great news they just received. Andy, please tell us all about it.
Each year, the Lincoln Journal-Star has an award program called the Lincoln Choice Award, where the customers in Lincoln get to choose the best places to do business. Great pleasure, I get to announce that Honda of Lincoln has won the award for buying new cars, used cars, automotive repair, and even oil changes.
That is amazing, Andy. Any more good news?
Yes, there is, Charlie. We now have more than 100 new Hondas in stock, with hundreds on the way, and a huge selection of all makes and models on our pre-owned lot.
Incredible. Maybe it's time you come experience the Honda of Lincoln way of doing business. 27th and Yankee Hill Road, or online at hondaoflincoln.com.
The 31st Annual Testicle Festival, Saturday, June 15th at Round the Bend Steakhouse, just off I-80, exit 426. Swing out 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. for music, fireworks, and, of course, nuts. Visit roundthebendsteakhouse.com for more.
Load up on meat and more this summer at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese at 84th and Haviland. This week's special through June 11th is buy 3 ribeyes, get 1 ribeye free. Also, $1 off all brands of crackers. Locations at 84th and Havelock and 30th and Yankee Hill in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town. For over 15 years, Integrated Life Choices has empowered individuals with disabilities in Lincoln and throughout Nebraska. They provide comprehensive services from group homes and independent living services to job training, ensuring fulfilling lives for those that they serve. Now, they're inviting you to join their mission. If you're passionate about making a difference in the lives of people with developmental disabilities, explore rewarding career opportunities with them. Learn more about their services and apply today at www.ilc.net. Be a part of Integrated Life Choices, where your work truly changes lives. You don't think about your roof very often, but you should never take it for granted. Roofing Service Company takes every measure to provide you with the highest quality roofing solution. Whether it's a new roof installation, roof repair, or a re-roofing project, their overall goal is to provide you with a pleasant experience and a long-lasting roof. If you have a need for siding or gutters, they're your place too. Visit roofingservicecompany.com for more info today.
Keep summer green with Judson Bylene and Judson Irrigation. More than 40 years ago, Judson Irrigation started taking in orphans. Lawn sprinkler systems installed by a quickie, cheapy summer job, install 'em and forget 'em outfit, long forgotten. Call Judson Irrigation. They'll never forget you.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeit. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting lincolnteammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Constructors is now hiring for all positions, with laborers starting at $23 and up based on experience. Constructors has immediate job openings for laborers, mechanics, bridge builders, operators, and drivers. Start your new career today. Constructors offers great pay, health, dental, and vision insurance, paid time off, paid holidays, and so much more. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. For a complete list of openings and to apply online, visit constructorslincoln.com.
Network Partners in Lincoln reminds us throughout the history of our country, our armed forces have risked their lives to protect our freedom. They and their families have sacrificed so we can live in peace, and not just us, but our children and grandchildren as well. Let's thank our troops and veterans and keep them in our prayers. May our troops be safe and may God bless America. This from Network Partners in Lincoln. We live in the land of the free, thanks to the brave.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, DeMornay Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back in to Ticket Weeknights. This is the Don't Punt Hour. We got the host, DeMornay Pierson-El, former Husker wide receiver, special teams threat, streaming in. If you guys want to join in, 402-464-5685. We got the College World Series on the airwaves, but nonetheless, the show goes on streams. Facebook, YouTube, Allo, Channel 961, Twitter/X, whichever one you want to call it. We're there as well. But before we dive in to the head coach who just got fired, despite having a ton of guaranteed money, let's just go everybody for a quick Husker football recruiting update, because something's stirring where it's 4 stars on top of 4 stars. And it's getting to the point where it does feel different. I want to knock on wood as much as I can here.
Where are they from?
We got Malcolm Simpson out of Texas, Hitchcock, Texas to be specific, the 4-star defensive lineman. Obviously, we've known about QB Latif, another 4-star quarterback. This is just the 2025 class. And then we still got Jamarian Parker. That was earlier in the month, the 6-foot 4-star as well. It just feels like we're in an era where these 4 stars are becoming easier to come by. Are we drinking the Kool-Aid too much? Or is this the facilities on top of Matt Rule? Are people really buying what Nebraska's selling more than ever right now outside of the own state borders?
No, I think when you look at it and some of the positions that you just said, it's the opportunity to play. You have the opportunity to play early. Mm-hmm. You have the opportunity being at a place to where you're going to make some type of NIL money. You're in a place to where football, regardless of bad, good, or whatever, they're the show in town. That's just what it is. And you have a coach, that has a track record that has shown that he can rebuild things and get things back to where they need to be. And I mean, last year the team was doing fine. It's just one position, honestly, one bad number caused us to lose a lot more games than to win any. And I think that position, has been fulfilled and changed around, not only just, with one person, but, 2. You got, again, 2 Elite 11 quarterbacks in the same room handling the ball. So I think it's definitely what Nebraska has to offer. You said a D tackle or D line. If you look at what's on the D line, I mean, after this year, I mean, it's pretty much exactly. So same thing, the wide receiver room is kind of young, but after this year, a lot of dudes are shipping out, and then probably other than maybe 2 guys, I mean, it's up to the fight for. So I think there's an early opportunity to play. And I think that attracts, kids.
Yeah, it is this era of college football, just college sports as a whole. Is it the end or is it the money? I'm not going to hate you for the answer, but at the end of the day, money talks. Nothing wrong with it. Everybody's got a number. That's just where college football is right now. But you do have some talent there on the roster. At bar none, you got talent there on the roster. Now it's, did you get the right type of talent, and can you develop the guys underneath what your projected starters
Are they patient enough to understand what it's going to look like? Or are they spoiled brats and just what they want now?
Well, that's what we're going to find out. Like, does it take another NIL check to keep you here? This is the stuff that's going to be just a crapshoot until we get it all figured out and sorted, until there's some sort of cap on it. But yeah, understanding where people's loyalty lies. And again, it's not even these damn student athletes for me. This is the environment we created, and you can't be mad at the results. You created a wild, wild west of money where if you have millions of dollars, you're going to be doing better than the people who only have 6 figures to deal with.
Only for a year, because you can't keep that up, with everybody. So, I mean, we'll see. Like I said, my question, to the athletes, is your goal just to make enough NIL money and that's good enough for you, or is your goal, to continue on and go play at the NFL? Because if your goal is to continue and do that, the NIL money will come. Because if you're doing what you're supposed to at school, regardless if you have to wait a year or, you know what I'm saying, year one, you kind of got to wait. Year two, you kind of in rotational. Year three, you spring out. And if you are, in some of the best categories for your position or whatnot, you could be 3 and done. NIL money, and you out the gate, and it's just not focusing on now. So that's my only thing, with some of these kids coming in, to where don't let the money distract you, or you're you being impatient of maybe not getting something you want, when honestly, if you kind of stick to the process and understand the vision of the team, and not necessarily it's just me and what can happen for that and whatnot, you'll end up in a better position from where you started at.
Yeah, and this is just personally, it just feels like when you're handed that much money for it, the strive, the desire to become the best lessens. When you got millions of dollars in the bank, it feels like you've already kind of arrived in that drive, desire. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I just know, even in my own personal situation, I'd imagine if someone handed me this job based on my resume and they're like, you know what, you're worth 6 figures already. We're going to pay you 6 figures to be here. I'm going to feel like I'll show up at this job like I've arrived. I am the best, when in reality, still got a long ways to go. That was just to get me in the door. I feel like in the NBA too, maybe that's kind of, I run into this in my head, is the desire to become the greatest of all time lessened by the fact that you're making millions of dollars as a role player regardless. It might not even be a starter, and you still making millions putting that in the bank. Money definitely ties to, people's drive. Not everyone, but it's definitely an element of the psychology in all of this, is where players' loyalty sits with the money. Can you blame them with the way it's been set up? Probably not, but it's just going to continue to be messy. Would you, if you have $10 million, are you going to cheap out on the coach, or are you going to cheap out on the players? If that's what you're given to construct your football roster, and you got to divvy that up between coaches and players, what's the priority? Because that's what a lot of these universities are going to run into.
I would say coach, because you don't necessarily need to go get a 4 and 5 star to necessarily perform. And we've seen this. If you go back and look at what Bo Pelini, the type of dudes he was drafting, I wasn't a 4-star, I was a 3-star.
Yeah, that's right.
Bo Pelini was getting 2 stars, 3 stars. He might have popped a 4-star every now and then at certain positions and whatnot and everything like that, but he was getting players that fit his system. So if you have the right coach that can, one, get the kids to play and be at where they need to be at, it won't matter about the money, because at the end of the day, if you go to that school, he's going to get me to the next level. So the money stuff will come. Then you'll be in the positions of the Ohio States, to where, they can get anybody they want. They can get the best of the best at just about any and every position. Why? Because it's not, to them kids, it's not about the money. It's about going to the next level and making sure that, okay, I can tell my mom, you don't got to work no more. You straight. I can tell my family, y'all don't got to do no more. Y'all moving out here with us, and y'all good for life and everything like that. That's the goal. So I think the part is, are the universities going to work with these coaches to allow them to get what they need to get done? And I know you won't have, all the flashy kids and this and this and that, but if you got the right guy in there that's bringing in the right group of kids to get the job done and whatnot, is he not, still doing the job?
Yeah, I don't know which way to go with that, because the way it's set up right now, the schools that seem to do the best are obviously the schools with the most resources. But we've seen that with teams prior, where it felt like when NIL first came around, there's a team that sticks out in everybody's head that quote unquote paid for their entire roster. And it's a pretty disappointing season. Despite spending all that money on what is considered to be the best talent available, they fell short. So when it comes to coaches, I think you're better off. I don't think it's one where you cheap out on the coach, but certainly you still got to make sure you get the best head coach in there available. And then after that, it just becomes, where are we at? Are we a Power 5 with a lot of boosters, or are we a Group of 5 where maybe we can get away with a lesser coach because the talent on the field is that much better? I think there's a lot of nuance on where you're at in conference, but as we're talking about coaches, with a lot of money that we're going to pay a coach a ton of money to try to flip this team around. Let's talk about Monty Williams. Detroit Pistons head coach, only head coach for 1 year.
He got fired? I didn't see that.
After signing his historic 6-year contract for a guaranteed $78.5 million.
That's
after one season.
That's crazy. Because, what do you expect him to do with, like, you're not giving him no time? At least you've seen what he kind of did with the Suns. I think he's a good coach.
I think so.
And I think the Lakers need to hop on his agent's phone quick. Quick. But it's if you're not, you're already losing money because people are not coming to see your team.
No,
their
own team. This is the ugliest I've ever seen Pistons. That's a loyal, gritty fan base. I mean, it's been bad. It's been
Detroit.
Bad.
Detroit alone, the Lions and the Pistons, both. But as an organization, like what are you looking at? Because like you're not a desirable place. They know the candidates that you got come in. Well, the last guy just probably got a better resume than me or whatnot, and you still push him out the door in under a year or a little bit over a year. Like, what are you expecting? Like you don't have superstars. You don't have draft capital. It's not a desirable place to be at. Nope. So like you got to give these coaches some time to kind of work and get things going on and whatnot, because you're in a position to where whoever you had in there last might have traded away some picks to really do some that you really could have done some things or whatever. I think he had a good draft class. He got good kids there. They're just young, and you're gonna have to grow the team, kind of what Indiana did. Like that. That's the path you're on. You're not gonna trade away and get guys and automatically be a contender. You had a good coach there. You thought he was a good coach because you hired him, and now in 1 year you change your mind, and you losing money.
Guaranteed.
Y'all just got money to blow like that.
Apparently 6 years worth to blow. I mean, it's insane. You fire him. I'll tell you who should have been fired. The GM. Look at the roster. We'll just go through it. Cade Cunningham, Malachi Flynn, Jalen Duren, Jaden Ivey, Asar Thompson, the rookie, James Wiseman. They find a way to get him down there. Isaiah Stewart. You also got Quentin Grimes down there, Evan Fournier, Taj Gibson. Like, this roster is not built to win.
Taj Gibson is still playing basketball. Oh my, he's like Al Horford.
Yeah, and Al Horford's aged better, and that says a lot. I mean, it's terrible as to say, and like that's. Nothing wrong with Taj Gibson. Was a great player in his own respect, but that's your veteran. That's the guys leading, telling the young guys, this is how we get it done in the NBA. Again, nothing wrong with a role player, but you're going to want, they probably miss Blake Griffin. I understand why they couldn't keep Blake Griffin, but for a while, the Pistons were actually a team to watch, and Blake Griffin literally gave the last length of his career to a very sorry Pistons franchise that didn't deserve it, because he injured, destroyed the rest of his career. His body went through hell to try to bring that team to any sort of relevance. And he did. He successfully got them to at least a talking point. But as soon as he was gone, the whole thing just fell apart again. And then they bring in Monty Williams. I just went through the roster. Fire the GM. This is a young team. You have to have patience with it. Next year, are they better? The bar.
No.
The bar.
No. I mean, if you'd have had Monty there, yes.
I think so too.
Yes.
Like maybe they win 20 games this year instead of 14. Like that's how bad it is. The Pistons are the biggest head scratcher. And what the hell they're trying to build. They don't have a lot of picks going forward. They just moved on from their head coach once again. They got money to bleed apparently. And this is apparently an owner decision. This was from the very top all the way down, which makes it even weirder. And this is his own statements. This isn't like the GM and Williams got in an argument. This is the owner wasn't impressed. But again, like look at the roster.
What did you expect him to do with what he had?
Apparently win at least 50 games. It's insane. It's like he wanted him to play over 500. I get it, the record, why you might want to hit the panic button, but you should have hit the panic button before the season started, knowing what you have. This wasn't a roster that was ever going to compete, period.
At all.
And you want to hit the panic button and say it was
and it's the coach's fault when he inherited that team. Like that's the one place you change. Like, come on now. Like, let's be realistic. Like,
ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. But which one's a worse fire? Monty Williams, because of the stipulations around it, you guaranteed him $78.5 million just to fire him after 1 year, or Budenholzer after the Bucks lost to the Miami Heat and they fire him in a panic situation. They both feel like panics to me.
I think Detroit is worse. Detroit is worse because, but I mean, you're firing an NBA championship coach. Like, for what reason? I don't know. Like, that team was probably still in its prime. So whoever got the whispering or whatever, like, that's just, bad management. But the Pistons, like, somebody might go jump off the top of the building because of that. Like that is. Hopefully they don't. I'm praying they don't. Call the GM, call his wife to make sure he's okay, because he got to be on the check. He got to be next.
I mean, you'd hope so.
He went over top of his head to fire somebody he put in a position to be successful. You gotta pray, hope that owner is not calling you next and be like, yeah, we don't need your services anymore.
Yeah, and with the Pistons, you don't know. Maybe that call's coming tomorrow. Maybe it's a whole clean cycle, but yeah, just like it feels like they bought their ticket to hell. Like, I don't see this improving anytime soon now. We talked about the picks, not looking great for the future. The talent that's there, maybe Cunningham turns into something great. Doesn't seem like it right now. Maybe Jaden Ivey's that guy. Asar Thompson, good rookie seasons, but none of these guys are sticking out like a Zion, Ja Morant. Most part, it's all pretty downhill for this Boston, or not the Boston Celtics.
Did the Pistons have money to make moves this offseason?
Let's take a look at their cap. I don't think
that could have been a thing to where, hypothetically, let's just take Jaylen Brown. If you had enough money to get him, to steer him away from Boston, to have your own team, we're gonna build around you. You're the guy and everything like that. You got money to throw at him. You got enough money to bring in a good guard. Trade some pieces here and there. Now you got a young team and kind of just move forth. Like, year two with Monty, that would have been acceptable, making a splash off the rip. He didn't already change you from, where you were to now you working with something, or you could have went and got, a Zion or something along the lines of that. But you ain't even allow him to make them type of chances.
No, they got money to spare. Looking at their payroll, they do got a bunch of 1 and 2 years, but they got some gross ones in there. Again, I'm not attacking these players, but just financially, the way you look at it, Isaiah Stewart guaranteed to make $15 million all the way through the 27-28 season. A lot of people probably couldn't even point Isaiah Stewart out. You got,
I don't even know what it is. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Exactly. And that's just my point to it, is like, and then you're paying Evan Fournier. Luckily, it ends next season, but you're paying him about $19 million a year as well.
You could have you might have you could have got Russell Westbrook in there. Westbrook would have, you know what I mean? Like he would have boosted ticket sales. He still can be dominant and effective. He could have did what he did in Washington. There, you could have built some pieces and put some things around him. Like, it was ways to, that you could have, if you'd have went after the right players to get you over 20 wins. I think if you have Westbrook and a couple other people, you get over 20 wins. Period. I think he is still capable of playing at a high level and changing the game.
He will you to 20 wins
easily. That's just one player. So
it's bizarre what their GM's done. And Isaiah Stewart, he's averaging about 11 points, 6 rebounds, 1.5 assists. 48% field goal percentage, about 34% from the 3-point line, $15 million a year. Again, it's not a bad role player, but work the money, pay the right guys, get a Russell Westbrook for cheap. It just they have been so bad on picks, they've been so bad on trades, they just can't figure it out ever with the Detroit Pistons, and their answer is always the head coach sucks. You 1 year record contract.
That GM must got some blackmail on somebody or something. He must have something to where you can't get rid of him, because if you do, you might find yourself into one of them situations like Gruden was in with them emails and Bruce. I mean, not Gruden, Bruce Allen.
Yep.
With the Commanders, where he was willing to burn down the whole house It has to be something like that. It has to be.
Oh, it's not a bad theory because that's a great example because quite literally threatening to burn down the entire house. It was one of those where I think if you worked in the media, you're chewing on your popcorn a little bit.
This man had to give up ownership of the team. Mind you, the other owner who had to do that was the owner of the Texans. You don't hear anything. You didn't hear about him making no money from it. Bruce Allen had to sell the Washington Commanders and got a couple B's from it. Not M's, not a couple millions, a couple billions to sell the team. And you were in the wrong, and you threatened people to burn everything down. So he has to have that type of level of something on somebody or something. Has to be.
There's got to be some.
Has to be.
Because
it has to be.
Yeah, I won't swear, but it's a blank show. I mean, it's terrible. Top to bottom, it's just like nobody knows what they want to do here in the future. They got weird contracts. They got young guys that they're like, maybe this is the one. They end a Blake Griffin career on the way trying to figure it out.
So, does Monty chill for these next 2-3 years, or do you think he takes the Lakers job?
He's got 5 years of guaranteed money. If I'm Monty,
I ain't doing nothing.
I'm like that.
I ain't doing. I'm moving to Florida.
Oh yeah.
Or Texas, somewhere hot. Don't bother me.
I might even get season tickets to the Detroit Pistons. And
I wouldn't step a foot back in the state.
Just like next head coach. Like, congrats if you get to 20 wins plus. That's the bar. You fired Monty because you didn't think he'd get you 20. We'll be off it because I think that's enough said. It doesn't make sense for just about anybody, even Pistons fans. You're going through enough.
That might have been the worst hire and fire than the Raiders with McDaniels. I'm not lying.
For how quick it was and it being a record.
And I like Monty. Like the McDaniels hire to the Raiders, I was upset. I didn't like it at all. Like him with Detroit, I'm like, okay, give him about 3 years. Detroit, will be something to handle, in their conference. Nope.
I'm with you. It's just ludicrous world of sports, especially when you get to professional level, trying to figure out why some of these decisions are made. But as we wrap up the show, celebrate Juneteenth in a good fashion way to do that. I think we honor some of the HBCUs. Give me the best HBCU uniforms. You can go football, basketball, even lacrosse if you got a sick lacrosse jersey in the back of your head. I'll throw mine out there. Grambling State colors are always going to stick. Iconic HBCUs. I got to take that one. That's an easy one.
Grambling. I like Southern. Southern is different.
Southern University is nice with the baby blue and yellow.
Southern. I come from Virginia, close to Howard University. So, I grew up going to, Howard's homecoming and everything like that. So, it ain't nothing like, for no HU. So, you can throw them in there just because, like I said, it's just a home thing.
Wow, that was a way more concise list than I thought. Howard is also my number 3. So, I'm pretty much in order there. I'm definitely Grambling State, Southern University down there in California. And then, I'm going to go with Howard as well. They got some of the iconic uniforms. Also, just historically, especially in terms of basketball, some of those programs have a lot of cool history to them. Obviously, Grambling State, you think of football. But nonetheless, that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for us. Don't go anywhere, though, because up next, we will have What's Brewing with Chance of Brewington, as always, on Wednesday nights once 8 o'clock hits. So shout out to Morning Pierson-El joining me on time, as always. We'll wrap it up. Talk to you guys again tomorrow.